Hello traders, this is Cousin Vinny coming to you from closingprint.com on September the 22nd, 2013 with your weekly market read and focus list. I'd like to cover a few things today looking into the week ahead, namely the indices, the sectors that are showing relative strength, some of the names inside of those sectors and subsectors, as well as some scans that I use to determine trades going into the week, as well as a focus list from those scans. This is a chart of the SPX, the S&P 500, noting that we're still in this ascending wedge that we've continued to trade inside of for the better part of 2013. What I overlaid are indicators that I used for determining trend change. Note the green and the red lines. Those are areas where these indicators have given signals. Note they are lagging. The top one is the S&P bullish percent. We can see we have a yellow signal here on the NYMO. We peaked. Also on the number of stocks trading above their 50-period moving average, we hit a zone where we typically see a pullback. So we have 2 to 3 signals so far showing or confirming this possible trend change here. And in the previous instance, we had a number of crossovers that gave us a nice buy area. We had this 32 range here on the SPX A50R, which gave us a buy signal early on. And then we saw this rally off of this lower trend line. So currently I am looking to be somewhat flat and trading only names that are showing relative strength and could care less what's happening with the markets. Looking at the comp, the Nasdaq Composite, we can see the bullish percent is hovering around 70. So that's not quite a yellow signal yet, but close. We have the stocks trading above their 50-period moving average, not quite making it to a sell zone and moving sideways. And we have the NAMO, the equivalent of the NYMO for the Nasdaq, came up to very close to a sell zone, noting we did touch this upper trend line and the increase in volume here that we saw. This is the daily chart, obviously. Looking at the 9 spider sector ETFs, we can clearly see that XLY, XLK, and XLI have outperformed, breaking above their highs in August and continuing to show strength. And we can clearly see XLB broke out in the first couple of weeks of August, and financials have lagged the market. So we'll look to those sectors for trades. Looking at a chart of the consumer discretionaries XLY, we can see that high that we put in August. We could come back down and test that previous high, a pullback to breakout. Note the volume was above average. On balance volume continues to move sideways, and ADX is picking up strength. Note the technology sector, XLK, that we are pulling back to this upper breakout line on this ascending wedge. And we have these highs at 32.31 that we put in August. Inside of that technology sector, we see SMH has been fairly strong as well, as the networking shares are also doing quite well, which are pulling back to that current breakout area, this buy zone in here, or this support zone that was previous resistance up here at between 30.77 and 31.60. Also in this sector is the Dow Jones Internet Index, which you can see is very strong comparably to weekly to the market in general, which is one of the reasons why we traded some of the stocks that we are in currently. If we look at Fing, which is a Chinese internet company, they have 3 portals, a TV station, and have had really good earnings. You can see that we broke out of a triangle pattern on a bullish cross and touch of the 1030. We had a box trade here on a flag, and recently we had a pullback breakout and also a break of a trend line here on a flag or pennant last week. So this is trending higher, and note the strength in RSI on balance volume continues to move higher. That strength was transferred over to the weekly chart as well. Note the RSI as institutions are building positions and accumulation on the on-balance volume. Pull back to the 10 EMA on weekly is a good buy point if you're a swing trader. You can see that you could have got in at in the $5 range and had a double on this particular stock, Fing. Now, if you're a member of StockCharts.com, you have the ability to construct custom scans, which is what I'm going to show you here. If you scroll down, I'll share with you a couple of scans that I have put together, custom scans, to trade the markets with. One of those is the momentum buy signal. If we run that scan, we can see the names that pop up on the list. We can put that into a chart list so that we can trade it, or take a look at them and analyze. Overlay RSI, and then we'll plot that. Obviously, I can set the screen up so that stocks only above a certain price, like $10 a share, will show up. That's easy enough to do. All you need to do is go select your particular scan, click Edit. All we're going to do is come down to the bottom. We're going to add the AND comment, brackets, close, greater than $10 a share, and close brackets. I'm going to check our syntax, and of course we're correct. You can see that here. And then I'm going to run our scan. Okay, that'll give us a shorter list and names which aren't penny stocks. Okay, and then we're going to hit candle glance. I'm going to enable RSI so we can see which ones are the strongest. I posted a Facebook chart that was updated and annotated on my StockTwits page. Okay, so you can look at that. But what I was noting was, one, it showed up in a momentum scan, stocks that were breaking out on Thursday or Friday. In this case, Thursday gave us the first signal, and we saw volume here. Note these pocket pivots. This is when green volume, up volume exceeds the previous 10 days, down volume. And we can see that all of these pocket pivots were greater than these down day red volume bars. Okay, notice what happens when the opposite is the case and we were downtrending in this wedge. So watch for pocket pivots as well. Okay, so this is another thing that the scan takes into account. So that's Facebook. And we also found Tesla, which showed up in one of those scans, a breakout on Thursday, Friday, which would have kept you from trading this short. I know a number of people were looking at this short, but if you've been looking at the RSI as well, RSI was getting back up here again and embedding, and we were holding the 10 period EMA on the daily. We had substantial volume that outweighed any downside volume for almost a month, and we had some spikes here as well. Okay, so these are things that this scan takes into account. Momentum buy signal right here. I will post that criteria into the comments section of this video down at the bottom. So you can see the names that came up on the scan. Let's look at Teradata. This looks interesting. Remember the networking shares were doing well. We can see that we're breaking out of and retesting an upper trend line here on this descending wedge pattern. RSI is turning back up from 50. Volume is starting to increase, and on balance volume, not something I would necessarily trade, but we found a bottom here and we're turning back up, and relative strength is starting to tick back up. Let's take a look at a different scan. This next scan is for a simple flat base. You can see the criteria here. Note that I don't have a filter for stocks price, so I'm going to put that in. I'm going to enter the and commentary, brackets, close greater than, say, $10 a share. Okay. I'm going to check our syntax. We're going to run that scan, and we're going to look at our results, and we'll look at these. Alright, so what we're looking for is a flat base with the possibility of a breakout. Alright, so let's go back to our scan criteria and set this to greater than 5. Run the scan again. Now you can set that to anything you want to, but I chose to do that only to make a point. Change our setting here to RSI and click go. Now we have 2 pages, and as I had said before, Skull turned up last week on a scan of a flat base. This is the weekly. Let's change that to the daily. Note RSI is continuing higher on the weekly. Okay, here we go. Here's a good setup on Skull. We have RSI about to cross 70. Prices are moving above the Kirby levels. We have this flat base here that we're breaking above. So we can see there's a really nice pocket pivot here on Skull. Exceeds all of the down volume here going back as far as March. Alright, we have this nice base, flat base here, and we have a breakout. Now we're going to look for follow through on Monday, Tuesday, and we'll also look on the weekly to make sure that our weekly continues to break higher. Okay, note the crossover, the 1030 on the weekly, and note this huge Kirby pocket here all the way up to 13 and change. Okay, so that would be my target on a position trade in an IRA type of situation. I'd be holding this through 3 to 5% pullbacks. Continue to move your stops along the 10 period EMA. I typically do that minus $1 or so, depending on the value of the stock, the price of the stock. In this case, I'd probably do like about 50 cents on a trailing 10 EMA on the weekly. And you could trade this stock all the way up to 13 or so, sans or barring any caveat that would kick the stock down. But if you had stops in, the most you would lose is 7 to 8%, and that would be on a trailing stop. Okay, let's look back at this scan again. I'm already in Skull, by the way. I got in on Friday. on this breakout on this range. No BVN. It's nice, the trend line. Nice trend line break. So this is the scan that picked up on Facebook and Tesla. Momentum buy signal with unbalanced volume and RSI strong. You can see what the criteria is here. I'll drop this into the comments section as well. This is just something I use on a daily basis. You run the scan and you see if anything's popping up. It'll show a breakout before a lot of people even start to mention it, if you happen to do it early in the morning. Okay, so I hope this helps. Again, this is Cousin Vinny coming to you from closingtheprint.com. Come and check us out over at Day Trader Bootcamp, and we'll see you on Monday.